Hey, what's going on, guys? The Pre-Boy Offense. My name's Saj, and I first off just want to apologize for not doing a full NFL Week 8 Survivor breakdown. I've been super busy this week with work stuff, some school stuff. So I wasn't able to build a video, but I was going to make sure I did my love and hate games this week. I think at this point, if you guys have been watching my videos, you kind of already know how I lean on certain games, so luckily with that video missing this week, I hope you guys won't miss anything with my love hate games coming out, but I will make sure that doesn't happen again. It really sucks that I had to miss that. I was just way too busy, so really sorry guys if anyone was looking forward to that. I'll make sure my review comes out every Tuesday, but yeah, here we go with my love and hate games. I got 3 this week because not as many teams are on bye, which is awesome. Gives us a better pool of teams to pick from. And I think we have some really interesting stuff here. For all these love and hate games, I made sure to put the next 3 games for all these teams in their schedule, because I think this is going to start really what dictates the way we're moving now in Survivor. We have fixed identities for these teams that we can understand, fixed statistics, in the case of the Titans, we know about how good Derrick Henry is as a runner and stuff like that, right? So now moving forward, we can start looking at the run defenses that they're going against. Week 8 is the perfect week because injuries have kind of settled in. We have enough games and stuff to actually have an appropriate view of what these teams are, and then we can start actually leaning these statistics against each other and throw out the anomalies and stuff like that. But without further ado, guys, here we go. So the 3 games I hate. To start this off, speaking of Derrick Henry, Titans versus Colts. So I know I always talk about staying away from these teams where it's 2 good teams because the game could go either way. But this one, even more relevant from them than that, is both these teams are playing so well right now that we don't really know who's the immovable object and which one's the unstoppable force. The Colts defense is playing great. The Carson Wentz led offense for the Colts is actually firing on all cylinders, which beginning of the year was not happening. And now they're going up against a really good test in the Titans, who have just beaten the Chiefs and the Bills, right? And the Titans are so injured across their roster, but they're still producing. And when you beat a team like the Bills, yes, that's awesome. When you beat a team like the Chiefs, we've all been talking about the Chiefs a certain way this year, so it's not as impressive, but still a good showing for a team with the injuries that they had. And it just seems like it's 2 good teams at 2 good moments right now in the season. And this could go either way. If Carson Wentz catches fire, then he could easily torch the secondary for the Titans that's just so injured and so depleted, which seems like it's the story for so many teams right now. And then for the Titans, Derrick Henry, AJ Brown, Julio Jones, if they're all healthy, this is going to be clicking. I've talked about how Ryan Tannehill has the best pocket passing quarterback statistically in the league right now. No defense can really stop him if he is, being held up clean and stuff like that. So it's just a really good game to watch, but not a game you ever want to bet on, especially for Survivor. And then just to extend that point even further, the Titans' next 3 games after this are the Rams, the Saints, and the Texans. So if you really want to use the Titans, we can hold out for this Saints game and this Texans game after this Rams one that they have coming up. And you'll have a great chance to use them. So if you really want to catch the Titans kind of on this up streak, even if they lose this week, lose to the Rams, the Saints and Texans are good matchups for them, pending a bunch of injuries. And then on the Colts side of that, if you really want to use the Colts, next game they have the Jets on a short week and on a Thursday night game, and then they even have the Jags after that, and then the Bills. So like I said too, even if the Colts lose this game against the Titans, you got 2 unreal bounce back games there with the Jets and Jags to get them out of the way for Survivor. Then you don't have to worry about maybe, we're dealing with the Carson Wentz roller coaster. Let's get him out of the way just after this Titans game. I do really like actually the Colts versus Jets for that Thursday night play next week. I know I'm not big on Thursday night games when we talk about picking them, but yeah. So the other game I hate, Steelers versus Browns. So just a lot of injuries, and I talked about actually week 8 having a lot of known values in the league, but the Browns are still kind of unknown with some of those injuries, like Baker Mayfield's arm injury. He's not going to be playing. Case Keenum is a good backup. I actually think he's not even much of a downgrade. It's very much a linear move. He just needs to get more comfortable in the game planning and stuff, but he'll be good. But technique wise, athletically, what he's physically capable of, he's not a downgrade from Baker Mayfield at all. The problem here is what's the health of the Browns running backs, the wide receivers and stuff like that. And then you have the Steelers on the other hand, who, even when they are healthy, aren't really producing. Ben Roethlisberger is an absolute liability at quarterback. But, do they just hand it to Najee and he can just run all over them? The Cardinals racked up running yards against the Browns too, so, maybe is their plan. But they'll be able to sell out more to stop the run from the Steelers. But, does the Steelers pass rush kind of disrupt Case Keenum too much? It just seems like two teams limping into this. And, like, when both teams are wounded dogs like this, again, kind of like when it's, like, two good teams, like when the two teams are so, like, closely matched, it really could go either way. I think the Browns are the better team. I think the Browns win, but I definitely can easily see the headlines of Najee Harris just willing the Steelers to a victory, just like kind of capitalizing on the Browns while they're down a bit. And like I said, I'm going to talk about the next 3 games. The Steelers have the Bears next, the Lions next, and the Chargers after that. So I don't think we're ever going to be comfortable taking the Steelers, so I'm going to stay away from them. But with games like the Bears and Lions coming up, we want to make sure we actually stay away from them, because those could be games that other people kind of get caught like grabbing. Like the Lions look like a team that could beat the Steelers, and we don't want to touch that at all. And then the Chargers will beat them. The Bears, we'll see what happens with Justin Fields, but like again, like there's no situation in the world where I think the Steelers are a good play in Survivor, just with the volatility of their quarterback and all that stuff. So yeah, stay away from them. And then the Browns, for their near future stuff, they've got the Bengals, the Pats, and the Lions. So I'm actually probably comfortable with the Browns against the Lions in a couple of weeks, but we'll see what else comes up. But again, as long as they're injured, OBJ should be coming back soon. Jarvis Landry, he's like kind of bouncing on and off the roster right now, so he'll be good to go. And once Chubb and Hunt's out 3 weeks, so he should be good back for that Lions game. But yeah, the Browns, we'll have opportunities to take the Browns. We do not need to take them against the Steelers when they're, as depleted on a roster as they are right now. And the last game I hate, Eagles versus Lions. So these are two teams that we like to pick against, but in the same vein as all these other hate games, it's, two teams so evenly matched because they're both so bad that it could just go either way. Does Jalen Hurts just start rushing for TDs in the third and fourth quarter instead of just the fourth quarter? Who knows? Maybe it's enough to win. Jared Goff hasn't been playing terribly, so maybe this is the game where he starts throwing passes in the first quarter and getting touchdowns and gets enough of a lead that Jalen Hurts can't, come out and beat them. But, yeah, there's not much to say. It's just two bad teams, so stay away from that. I could see the Eagles winning. I could see the Lions winning. It could really go either way, and it's just because we know both these teams are as bad as they are, and it could go either way. As what we've been preaching all year: stay away from these things. Take the safer picks, right? So it's just like I'll do with the other ones. Eagles forecast: Chargers, Broncos, Saints. Nothing really there. We'll see what happens with the Broncos, but they're still a talented team, still relatively healthy, but their quarterback situation is an issue. But I don't think we can ever use the Eagles. Like I said, they're one of the worst teams, so we'll be picking against them. And then the Lions have the Steelers, the Browns, and the Bears. We're not taking the Lions. They're one of the worst teams in the league, so we're wanting to humor ourselves with that. Okay, but now we're going to get into the 3 games I love. And there's a lot of really nice games this week. I try to stay away from all the big blowouts, but the one super top team against a really bad team I wanted to stick with was the Rams versus the Texans. So I was talking to my buddy about this. The Rams schedule coming up gets pretty tough. They have a first place schedule, which in the NFL means a lot because those extra games that other teams are playing, a third or fourth place, you're getting a top team from a division. So that adds up, especially in Survivor when we're thinking about future value for teams, right? And just to throw out their next 3 games, it's the Titans, the 49ers, and the Packers. Now, the 49ers are a bit of a kind of up in the air. We don't know who's going to be playing quarterback, how healthy that whole team is and stuff, but there's a good gauntlet of 3 games, right? And then you have the Texans, who are playing the Dolphins, the Titans, and the Jets. So I think with some of those tough games coming up for the Rams, it's really important that we just maybe take the slam dunk this week, take the Rams over the Texans. It's not going to get any easier for them all year. This is such a really nice matchup. And with the Rams seeing that the Cardinals just lost on Thursday, they smell blood in the water. This is their chance to really take a hold of the division, try and, put some pressure on the Cardinals, keep pace with the Packers now and stuff, and really fight for that number 1 seed. And I don't think the Rams are going to miss this opportunity, not against the Titans. So this is actually my number one pick of the week. This is the pick I would be going with. If you still have the Rams available in Survivor, I'm taking the Rams over Texans. The next game that I love, Chargers versus Patriots. I love the Chargers to beat the Patriots. I think the Patriots have shown so much promise. I think they have one of the greatest coaches of all time in Bill Belichick. I think Mac Jones is the best rookie quarterback this year. But I also think that the Patriots are a little bit outgunned in a lot of situations. They have Jonas Smith, they have Hunter Henry, they have like Nelson Aguilar, they have Jacoby Myers. They have these like talented players, but there's just I talked about how we haven't seen Mac Jones really just like let it go and like unload his arm and like really just like use downfield and stuff. And when you're playing a team like the Chargers, it's necessary to be, able, or the threat is there of you being involved in a shootout, especially with the way Staley coaches, how he's very new age, very modern, very, aggressive in his play calling and his fourth down conversions and stuff like that, fourth down like play calls and all that. He's going to be very proactive in keeping the offense on the field and having the offense to perform. And when you're the team like the Patriots, dinking and dunking and being a running back centric team is great when you're playing a team that maybe isn't gonna step on the gas as much as the Chargers. But you can lose this game in the second quarter if you're not willing to keep pace with what the Chargers do. And the way Mike Williams has been playing, the way we know how Keenan Allen can play. I think Austin Eckler's a little banged up, but Justin Jackson could even come in and fill that role. The willingness for the Chargers to attack downfield and to score points is going to be pivotal for them moving forward in this season, but also the reason that I feel like they've taken that second step where they can beat these mediocre teams like the Patriots. And then the Patriots, on the other hand, it's like I said, I'll start taking the Patriots over mediocre competition, but the minute they have to start playing, faster, stronger, and score more points, more aggressive, I just don't think they can keep up. So I really don't like the Patriots in this matchup. But I do like the Patriots. I've already used the Patriots, but they have a game against the Panthers coming up, the Browns and the Falcons. So I do like them against the Panthers because there's a lot of turmoil going on with that franchise right now, trying to figure out what they're doing with the quarterback situation, being involved in the Deshaun Watson rumors and all that. So there are going to be other times to use the Patriots in the future. But yeah, I don't think you have to use them against the Chargers. And then on the other side of that, I do like the Chargers over the Patriots. But if you want to wait for the Chargers and just kind of capitalize on them in an even more like important spot, they have the Eagles next week, which seems like a really good matchup as well. They have the Vikings after that, and then they have the Steelers. So if you don't like Chargers versus Patriots, but you do like that Chargers team, just wait until next week where they have the Eagles. Take that slam dunk. Maybe just take the Rams this week. Like I said, that's my favorite one. But yeah, just that short future look really helps us when we're planning Survivor. And then my last game that I love, Bengals versus Jets. It sucks that injuries are a part of football, but when they do happen, we have to act appropriately, and we're going to be picking against the teams that lose quarterbacks, that lose star wide receivers, that lose star cornerbacks. Like, those are important positions, and when they're gone, the teams that are playing are not the same. And with the Jets, whether it's Mike White, whether it's Joe Flacco, this could have been a lot of teams playing the Jets, and I would have been comfortable picking that team. So the Bengals have been playing great. They did that thing to the Ravens where they kind of showed the world that they were legit. And I've been talking about how the strength of schedule situation for a lot of teams. Now the Bengals have had a relatively easy-ish schedule up until this point, and they've been doing what they're supposed to do against bad or good teams. They've been winning, and they took the Packers to overtime and everything like that. But from this point on, since the Ravens game, they have the second hardest schedule statistically in the NFL. So because of that, I would really like to capitalize on what the Bengals are in this moment, which is, I think, a good team. Are they as good as their record? Maybe not, but they are winning games, and I want to get on that and before the end of the season where maybe things could fall off, right? Because it's a very young team. So the Bengals' next 3 games are the Browns, the Raiders, and the Steelers. We really want to take the Bengals in this moment between the Jets game, between the Raiders game or the Browns game or the Steelers game, sorry. There's a lot of good games in there. And I think the sooner we take this Bengals team that we know what they are, so that they don't get injured, so that they don't hit rookie walls and stuff. Like, this is really important, a really good time to take this. So I'll personally be waiting to probably take the Bengals against either the Steelers team in a couple of weeks or maybe the Browns team next week. We'll see. We'll see how the Browns' health situation goes, but I do really love Bengals versus Jets this week. And then the next team in that game is the Jets. It's what do we talk about with the Jets, right? The Jets are, injured. They're not performing. The coaching's been terrible. This is just it's just a really bad season for the Jets, and luckily that helps us with Survivor. We just gotta look on the bright side of things. Sorry, Jets fans, but we look at their next 3 games. It's the Colts, so that's a loss. It's the Bills after that, so that's a loss. And then they play Miami, and we'll see what happens with Miami because we don't know what their quarterback situation is going to be either. But yeah, guys, I think there's some easy ones this week. Let's hope that they follow through and don't mess us over. But just to go over it again, the 3 games I hate: Titans versus Colts, Steelers versus Browns, Eagles versus Lions. Like I said, all 3 of those teams just so close to each other that all 3 of those games are so close to each other that it's really hard to call. And I think a lot of those teams that we would like in those matchups have some favorable matchups in the near future. And then 3 games that I love are Bengals over Jets, Chargers over Patriots, Rams over Texans, and there's lots of other good ones too, but those ones you guys could pretty much dissect for yourselves and find out. The only reason I went into depth on the Rams-Texans ones was to bring up their Rams schedule and why you should be interested in taking them this week. Alright guys, well those are my picks and things I like, things I don't like. Leave a comment below of the games you'll be picking, why, if you agree or disagree with me, if you think there's a fact that I missed out or maybe I should have included, put it down there because I like this channel and these comments are all supposed to help everybody who wants to do Survivor. So if you think there's some information that's beneficial to help other people in their Survivor pool, definitely just put it there. Everything helps. So have a good one, guys. I'll never miss my preview video again, but like I said, it was just a really busy week, so hopefully you'll bear with me. See ya.